Welcome to Daytime Ottawa here on this Monday. I feel like I'm just going to redo a segment all of a sudden. My first guest and I have been having this wonderful chat. Amanda Cockburn joins me. She's the owner of Freewheeling Craft. Welcome, Amanda. Great to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having us back.
Let's talk freewheeling. Before we get into the market, you've got your Holiyay market coming up, but freewheeling, you've been around for a while now. Tell everybody at home a little bit about the history behind it.
Yeah, so we're going on our 8th year in October, celebrating craft, local markets in Ottawa. So back in 2015, I was laid off from a job and it's like, what am I going to do next? And I got onto Instagram and started to notice this rise in these people starting to create craft as a business.
Right.
And just saw this gap in the market of a certain type of market that I was seeing in the bigger markets like Toronto and Vancouver, where you had music and food and this experience of more than just throwing some tables in a room.
Right.
So we did that, found a great venue, Makerspace North, that unfortunately is no longer in the city, but kind of offered that off the beaten path, a little rough around the edges feel to it that we were able to go in and make our own. And it's now here we are 8 years later.
Here you are, and here you are at a beautiful venue.
Yes.
Tell me about getting into the NAC and why you felt that was important.
Yeah, so in 2017, National Arts Centre had just undergone a huge renovation and they added the atrium, that big glass building that overlooks Parliament and Chateau Laurier.
Yeah.
And they were just looking to bring more arts and different stuff to the venue and get more people in. So they were looking for a partner and just the timing was right, and this will be our 5th Christmas with them, which is really exciting. They've been some of our best markets yet in regards to attendance and makers feeling really satisfied with the day that they had, which in turn is a success for me.
Well, and part of the storytelling that you and I were just having is the fact that Ottawa is this little big city still.
Yes.
And you were saying like your neighbor was responsible for some of the artistic work that was done in the new NAC renovation. Is that right?
Well, so we had a maker come in. It was actually a couple, and she was doing some jewelry, and he did this beautiful woodwork, beautiful.
Right.
And just in conversation, he had actually been on the team that had helped to build the ceiling. Which if you've ever been into that venue, it's this intricate wood ceiling. And he was selling his goods and can also say that he had a hand in building the venue.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I had to bring it up because I just love stories like that. So what can people expect this year?
So this year we have 85 makers.
Nice.
Across many different categories. We've brought 2 of our most popular categories with us today. So we have home goods and then food. We found during the pandemic, this is where people really went in regards to what they were gifting and buying for themselves. So with ceramics, candles, these at-home food goods that you can gift to family, neighbors, office coworkers. We find that those are really easy gifts to grab.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to do a little show and tell and go over each of these? Yeah, let's do that.
So this is a brand new brand to us, Harbor Candle Co. We've seen a huge rise in amazing candle brands in Ottawa, but there's such a demand for it that there's room for it.
I find candles and soaps.
Yeah.
It's like exploded. Like the amount of artisans we have just in the Ottawa region is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and in the pandemic, a lot more have popped up, which is great for people like me because I'd like to be able to offer about 30% of every market is new to us.
Oh, excellent.
So these beautiful ceramic cups, which can be used for whiskey cups, they can be used for tea, so little desserts.
Very nice.
We have a floral brand, so doing some dried floral arrangements. And then also these beautiful wreaths that she's partnered with another brand. So I love when brands come together to create a really cool product.
Yeah, agreed.
And then we move over to the food. Maiden Voyage, actually, they used pre-pandemic, they were one of those bar carts that went around to weddings, and they were like, what are we going to do? And so they created these really cool infusion jars where you put this fits a whole bottle of wine, and it has all the sugars and dried fruits. And then 3 days later, you've got this beautiful cocktail.
Just fill it up and you're ready to go. This is called the Festive Red Sangria.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
Very popular. So they'll be there with their whole line from Gananoque, which is really cool. La Chula, they're really beautiful Spanish couple that creates these authentic salsas and spicy products that you can put on your eggs and meat. Canal Spices comes in from Montreal, and they're always very popular with kind of this elevated spice blends. Got a local coffee company coming. Hot chocolate bombs, always a hit.
Always a huge hit. Yeah, agreed, 100%. Let's talk about the impact of supporting local.
Yes.
You've seen it firsthand over just the 8 years that you've been in business, right?
Yeah. So we hosted our market at the NAC actually right before 2020.
Okay.
The lockdown, and literally a week before. And I had brands emailing me saying that the money that they made there was going to carry them through. You know, what we didn't know how long that was going to be. So that's just a real life story of how shopping local actually puts money into the pockets of your neighbor, people in your community. We're hoping that this weekend we keep $500,000 in the pockets of local makers. And we're just one market, right?
Exactly.
Saturday is Small Business Saturday, so it's not even just about the markets, it's about restaurants, it's about other shops, plant shops, anything that's owned by a local from your community.
Well, and let's look at, just bringing people down to that downtown core alone, right? To the, NAC, as you said, restaurants, go grab a bite to eat. I know you'll have food there available as well, right? For people to sample, of course.
A little bit. There's a coffee shop, Little Victories is also right across the street. And Elgin is one of the prime locations for local restaurants in the city, right? So a lot of new ones popped up over the pandemic too. So I say plan to come, grab your shopping posse, make some plans to go.
The shopping posse, I love it. This is
Family,
great.
friends, whoever it is, but make plans to actually go and enjoy the downtown. Go see.
Yeah, because I was going to pick your brain about sort of shopping tips when it comes to the market. I guess this is some of those tips: is come early, stay late.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think from what we saw last year, really busy at the beginning. So if you want to be that door crasher that gets the stuff that you really want on your list, come early. But if you want a bit more of a quiet shopping experience, maybe you're just not comfortable being in crowds yet, or
right.
We say come between 3:30 and 5. That's usually when it starts to taper off a little bit, and you can kind of have a little bit more space.
What was the pandemic like for you at Freewheeling?
We pivoted to virtual markets.
You did, eh?
Yeah,
Okay.
so Christmases were great, and then we kind of did our thing throughout the year and kind of found our moments to do it. It was hard. It was a lot more work to do virtual, but less reward if you're the kind of person who feeds off of people in a room and
I know
experiences,
how that feels,
right?
yes.
So
we're speaking the same language. We did this show virtually, and we love being able to do it and to support our community all along. But certainly having you and our guests coming in and our green room experience, we always talk about it and say how magical it is because it's a networking experience for everybody that comes in, right?
Yeah. And then I guess as far as the logistics, there's parking on site that's along major transit routes because it's right at the corner of Elgin and kind of going into the Byron Market. It's free to attend and it's accessible venue. So, for any accessibility needs.
It checks all the boxes.
Checks all the boxes.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. What about the growth that you've seen from that first year to where you are now?
Oh my goodness.
How successful has it been?
Last year was huge.
Really?
Yeah. Like some of the makers told me what they sold. Some of them because they just started virtually. This was their first market, and you never would have known. They were so professional and ready to kind of handle. I don't think anybody was ready for how busy it was last year. We know it'll taper off a little bit because we were one of the only in real life markets. So I don't think it's such a spacious venue that even at its busiest, it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Well, and I think a lot of people forget for small businesses, right? Most of them had an online presence. But they had to make that more robust. And of course, that costs money. And then you had to buy, masking and sterilizing equipment and clean differently than you've ever cleaned before. And all of that certainly costs money. So supporting local, we continue to say it on this program. I know you do, Amanda. So important. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. We'll be right back after this.